Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. I am your host, Dan James. Hope you're on an amazing Saturday so far, wherever you are in the world. If you go on to enjoy today's episode, please consider leaving a like, a comment, or even subscribing to the channel. But also ring that bell for notifications if you do subscribe, that way you don't miss any future notification from my channel. So today, I came across an article which involved a Spanish rapper, someone I'm not very familiar with, by the name of Dan Sur. But the reason why I'm talking about this Spanish rapper, who I'm not familiar with at all, by the way, no idea who he is at all. Well, I saw the story where back in 2021 he decided to get like a hair transplant procedure, which is perfectly normal. Most people undergo that sort of procedure at some point in their lives, or many procedures for that matter. However, what stood out to me the most, and this guy's mental health, is the fact that he decided to get like gold chains implanted into his head to make it look like hair. So instead of having real hair, he has like gold chains or any other sort of colour chain hanging down his head to make it look like he has hair. Unusual sort of procedure, questionable as well, if I might add. Like, I'm not against anyone having like plastic surgery or anything like that. Like, you do you. If that's what you want, go for it. You know, I'm not always a big fan of plastic surgery, but again, it's not my body. I personally won't. When you're getting a procedure done, such as having like chains hanging down your head to make it resemble hair, then I'm questioning a lot of things in this world, and I'm questioning my own sanity, if that makes sense. But with that being said, let's get on with today's episode, shall we? Rapper faces serious risk after having gold chains surgically implanted into his head to resemble hair. First of all, that's even a thing. That's impressive. Second of all, it's also very stupid. I mean, first of all, what the fuck's wrong with his eyes? Like Asian bloody eye colour, if you will. His teeth? Are they even teeth, or are they just grills? Like, the fact that this guy's even on the head and undergone a procedure where this is even thin is actually remarkable, but also really scary at the same time. I basically question anybody in his inner circle, if he does have anybody in his inner circle, who basically said like, yeah, go ahead, do that, looks fabulous, that is kick ass, you'll be a star in no time with look. Spanish rapper Dan Sur has been seen sporting his metal head for 3 years now. I apologise if I got his name wrong. To me it sounds like Dan Sur, but obviously for those who speak Spanish, it could be pronounced something completely different, so my bad. He shocked the world by implanting metal chains into his head, and experts have come out to warn against copying him. Yeah, because you're basically a dumbass if you decide to want to look like that. Like, you know, I don't mean to be rude, I don't mean to judge him, I don't know the guy, I don't know any of his music, but I feel like, you know, in this day and age, that's the sort of trend that's going to get people inspired to want to copy that look. You know, we've seen throughout time, you know, it's always been that way. But these days, it's gone beyond a joke. Like, back in the day, sure, you could argue like, you know, baggy jeans hanging down their arse, do-rags, baggy t-shirts, whatever it may be. That was the style back then for most rappers. And yeah, it was questionable for the most part. But at least then, you could just like, think, okay, whatever. You could go with it for the most part. You could have your jokes about it, but for the most part, you could go with it. But like, a look like this, it's just like, what the fuck? Spanish musician Dan Sur made waves back in 2021 when he announced to his millions of followers on TikTok that he decided to turn his locks into chains instead. He told everyone in a video about what the procedure entailed, and we'll be honest, it's quite wild. Or it's wild. He said, I have it as a hook that is implanted in my head, and that hook has hooks, and they all hooked in my skull, under my skin. Nah, I'm good. I've never gone bald and look like that. This is my hair, golden hair, the first rapper to have gold hair implanted in human history. Well, at least if his music doesn't work out for him, at least he has that to fall back on. Like, he is the first rapper to have gold hair implanted in his head ever in human history. So at least he's got that to fall back on, which I'm sure makes everybody around him, like his family and whatnot, extremely proud of him. Then when naysayers told him that his changed hair was fake, he decided to prove it by showing his chains, how his chains don't float in a glass of water, as you do. Even though he seems pretty happy with how it looks, there are experts who were quick to warn off others who wanted to get it on the action too. Who wanted to get in on the action too. At least someone had the brains to warn somebody about this. Sure, chain hair might look cool. It doesn't. But it can be incredibly dangerous for your health if you decide to go for it. Dr. Frank Arguello, if that's how you pronounce his second name, a plastic surgeon, advised people against implanting anything into their heads back in 2021 following the news of the rapper's new locks. Okay, great. I'm glad you're warning other people about that, but why the hell did you agree to this sort of procedure in the first place? Like, to do this sort of procedure in the first place? Like, surely you must have thought, this guy is off his meds. He has no sense of how stupid he's going to look if he actually goes through this sort of procedure and how dangerous this procedure can be. I'm sure he probably warned him, like, look, mate, you know, if you really want this done, I can do it for you. But at the same time, these are the risks involved. You're free to make your own choice, as you do, but I have to warn you that this is some of the risks that you might have to look out for. And obviously, him being him, this rapper, he probably thought, it's all good, don't worry about it, just give me the procedure. So he continues to talk to Yahoo News. Implants like this are not safe. They introduce an easy path of bacteria between the outside world and the internal body. In this case, the bone covering the brain. In addition, I am concerned about the amount of weight these hooks are supporting. The weight or any accidental tug on a brand of gold could cause the implant to dislodge and even fracture the skull. Oof. According to reports, even when the rapper takes off his chains, he has permanent hooks attached to his head. Fucking. Because of this, dermatologist Dr. Monona Gohara said the rapper could go on to experience permanent hair loss from damage to the fossile, inflammation of the scalp, and also scarring. The lyricist seems to be doing well with his choice to implant chains into his scalp, as he's now had them for 3 years and hasn't reported any ill effects during this time. Congratulations, I guess. And then the doctor from earlier, Dr. Frank, whatever his last name is, continues to say, I would strongly discourage anyone from undergoing this procedure, for all the risks and complications involved. Especially at a young age, long-term consequences need to be considered. I think there are other more sensible and easy reversible alternatives, like wearing a wig with gold chains. I personally would have done that. Much more safer. Yeah, sure, you might get people like, oh, it's a wig, it's fake, it's this. Like, yeah, fuck it. Like, yeah, so what? I'm not getting, like, hooks and whatever else implanted into my head. Like, no, absolutely not. Dr. Mona Kohara also added, be cautious. Waving some gold strands onto your hair, you are much better off doing that. Since his transplant, the rapper has seen sporting a range of different coloured chains on his head, including gold, silver, and even multi-coloured chains to suit his outfit. He's been warned by many of the risks involved. It doesn't look like he'll be giving them up anytime soon. Now, this is obviously this sort of trend, if you want to call it a trend, what he underwent in terms of a procedure. My guess is probably for the TikTok generation and whatnot, like the Gen Zs and all that rubbish. You know, I think that's stupid, and I think the guy looks like a total idiot at the same time. Like, oh, haters be hating. Sure, if you want to call me a hater, call me a hater. Even though I do not know this individual, I don't know any of his music, and until this, yeah, like, I get it. People undergo dangerous procedures all the time, you know, especially when it comes to like plastic surgery, for example. Yeah, I get that, and it doesn't always. But even then, I'm like, if something doesn't look good, I'm gonna say it doesn't look good. You know, I don't care if it's a woman, a man, whether it's a hair transplant, some Botox here and there, whatever it may be. Like, I'm gonna put it out. Like, you look absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to point out that they look ridiculous, in my opinion. But I'm old-fashioned, so what do I know? I'm not up to date with all the trends and the TikTok generation. And probably for the best as well, if I'm being really honest. Like, it's crazy to me, like, this can even be done in terms of a procedure. Like, I would never have thought that you could have done this sort of procedure. Like, obviously hair transplants are very common. But in terms of what this guy went through, and, you know, putting, like, chains and whatnot into his head, like, that doesn't seem normal. Like, that seems something of a horror movie. Like, that's something you would see, you know, in, like, the Saw franchise, for example. Like, that's what comes to mind when I think of a procedure like that. But either way, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this look? Are you familiar with this rapper? Do you think it looks cool? Would you have gone through a procedure like this if you had the chance? Let me know your feelings down below. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.